everyone, today we got to play Motor City. But before we get into it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell because board games are amazing. And that's what we do here at Legends of Nirvana. Now, Motor City is a roll and write, obviously based on actually manufacturing cars and then selling cars. Randy, can you tell us a little bit more, though, about Motor City?
I can. This one is a 2023 release. It was a Kickstarter we just got in, and it's got a Board Game Geek rating of 7.3 currently and a rank of 10,116. It's a 1 to 5 player game, 45 minutes in length. I think that's probably short because there's a lot of thinking you're going to be doing as far as wordplay. This is not one of your entry-level roll and writes. This is by the same company that made Three Sisters and Fleet, the dice game. It's a heavier roll and write. Age 14 and up, definitely think that's probably appropriate because it's just there's a lot of iconography and
there's a lot of balancing and stuff.
It's easy to lose track.
Mm-hmm.
Designed by Adam Hill, Ben Pinchback, and Matt Riddle. Art is by Ilya Abakov and Marlies Behrens, published by 25th Century Games. The Kickstarter price was excellent on this. It was $29 for the game and the expansions, the 2 expansions they included with it. So you can still find it on Board Game Geek for $30 to $35 if you're trying to track it down. And I think Game Steward still has it as well, but I didn't see the price on that. But you can basically $30. That's what you're paying for the Kickstarter. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely
I mean, if you did miss the Kickstarter, check out Board Game Geek because there's people selling it new and very good condition.
All right, so now let's talk about the quality of components. Now these dice are very specific to this game, right? So custom dice.
Yeah, there's more dice that are included in the game depending on player count. You put in a certain number.
Yeah, and then you also have, again, the red die, which is basically the auditor that comes. I find that Randy was trying to tell me something. I hope no auditor comes to my facility anytime soon. Actually, we got someone coming in 2 weeks. All right, so...
And you get these wooden custom-shaped coffee mugs for the auditor and keys that are for the Bob's expansion.
Yeah, and then the actual, like, player board, there's no linen finish or anything, but... Or not player board, but main board. But I think it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's functional. And then you've got these pretty colored sheets of paper for your actual
They're
roll and
two-sided, but there's only 50 of them on a pad. So you're gonna, if you like this game, you're gonna play it a lot. You're probably gonna need to make copies, or I believe they still sell them because the sheets for we ordered a couple more sets for the
Three Sisters.
Three Sisters, yes.
Yeah. So we're probably gonna have to buy more. So overall, I think a 6 is fine. I mean, you've got some of the, specific and the generic, and the custom dice, but I think...
Well, I mean, given how important that, I mean, basically it's paper and dice. That's all you're getting, and some few markers. The stuff that's in there is pretty nice. It's just not a lot of it. I'm probably going to give it a 7.
Okay. All right. All right, so now let's talk about the actual theme. So the theme is that we're in Motor City, okay? And we've got a manufacturing plant, we got to do some testing on the vehicles that we produce, and then we've actually got to sell the vehicles, right? Also, we've got to be inventive, right? We got to do some engineering and making sure that we're creating the best that's out there.
You don't have to. You won't score as well, but you don't have to.
I would highly recommend you pick something up the engineering track. Theme-wise, I mean, it's there. I mean, the art, there's a lot of artography. I mean, there's a little bit of art, nothing crazy, but it all makes sense. I think
it's definitely integrated into the gameplay. I mean, everything ties as far as the gameplay. Yes, you're checking off boxes, but they've linked them in a really, intricate way to make it make sense with a testing of vehicles.
Yeah, what are you rating it?
I mean, it's not super heavy. I'd probably give it a 6.5.
Okay, I'm fine with 6.5. All right, so now let's go on to the rulebook. Now, this is where we had a lot of questions.
Well, I mean, it's not a lot. I mean, I went in expecting that it was going to be a little bit confusing because I knew Three Sisters rulebook is actually better than this one. This one, there were a few typos, there were a few things that were not explained well. I think they left it open potentially for an expansion because, I mean, that's the only excuse I can see. There's actually some bonuses you can get, and it tells you that the point bonuses have a maximum of like 12, but in order to do that, you'd have to be able to unlock all of the unlockables, and there's no way to unlock them the way it's set up today. I mean, you can go down certain tracks, but you can only unlock some of them. So there's no way you can actually reach the maximum that they gave in the book. So either they're planning on doing some kind of expansion with other ways to get to them, or something, because there's just they shouldn't give you a score that you can't obtain as far as the maximum. But other than that, it wasn't bad. It was just it's confusing game is the problem. There's just a lot going on in a roll and write, and we knew that going in. It wasn't a surprise. But if you've not played Three Sisters, or you've not played
Hadrian's Wall,
Hadrian's Wall, but
Fleet.
that's not one of the series. Fleet, the dice game, yeah. If you've not played either of those, you're not going to expect this level of complexity. And it wouldn't surprise me because the rating is lower than I would have expected on Board Game Geek. And it wouldn't surprise me it's because people got shocked when they got the game out, expected a light roll and write, and they got something a lot heavier than they were expecting. Matter of fact, I read some of the comments, and they were overwhelmed by it. They lost track of where they were on the bouncing around, which is easy to do.
Yeah, I'll be honest. It's one of those things, and we'll talk about it when we get into gameplay, which is now. But we'll kind of go through it.
Gotta give the score. I'm gonna give the score. I'm gonna give it probably. I'll give it a 7. I think it does a good job with what the complexity of this game is, as much as it can. There's a few typos. There's that whole scoring thing that we had to look up on Board Game Geek, and of course, obviously we're not the only one who had the question because it was one of the top 5 things that were questions on there. So it doesn't surprise me. But yeah, it's a little confusing as you read through it.
Let's get into the game. All right, so the starting is you got 2 sheets of paper. All right, and then we are going to roll the dice. So one player is going to roll it, except for the first round. First round, red's not going to be up there.
Right, so should we take the expansion off? Or
let's see.
All right, so this is the Bob's expansion, which is referencing Office Space, which I thought was amazing.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that maybe towards the end, but we won't go through the actual gameplay of it. All right, so first you end up rolling the dice, and then you're going to follow it. So I'm going to go with the gray, and then I'm going to go with the sail. So I'm going to put that there. I'm going to go with the white column. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do white here. And okay, so now because I rolled the dice, I'm first player, so I'm going to end up picking a dice. So I think I'm going to go engineering because I can. All right, so the first thing I do is I get the bonus from what's actually on the board. So in this case, I get a light bulb. So I would take my pen, I'd mark down on the light bulb, which is actually the research track. And every 3 research that you get, you either get to take an additional action or you get to purchase something out of the shop, which you can see is either an engineer, a permanent victory point income, or 2
TPS reports, also from Office Space.
Yeah. I don't have any reference to Office Space, so I got nothing.
She's sorely lacking in her movie experience.
All right. So I took that. Now I'm taking what's actually on the face of the dice. In this case, it's the engineering action. So then I'm going to look over here on my engineering section on my board and see how many circles are circled in. At the beginning of the game, you're only going to have 1. Okay. But over the course, we'll talk about upgrades here in a minute. You can do that. So I'm going to take this now. I'm going to go to my engineering track. So the first thing, in the beginning of the game, you're only going to have 1 engineer available to you. So you'll only have 1 track open. And you get to pick that one at the beginning of the game. So you just be aware of what track you're going up of. So then I'm going to mark off a box. Now, depending on what the box has in it, some are blank, some have money, whatever the case may be, you'll get that and you'll get to take it to the other ports of the board. Okay. And then I have to put it somewhere. So I'm going to put it on sales because maybe I'm short of cash. I'm not completely maxed out, but so 2 money. So I'm going to circle 2 of the things. When I spend the money, I will circle them in. So just be aware. Yeah, you'll fill them in. So make sure you just do one little circle. And then that will give you 2 money. Now, there are bonuses that you can get. What can you spend money on? So you can spend money on upgrading. So when I talked about there's only 1 circle at the beginning over here towards the different actions, you can spend 5 money to get it to level 2. And this is a free, well, no, it takes the dice. Or you can spend 7 money to get it to level 3. Okay? So when
after you've got it to level 2. You can't jump to level 3.
Yeah, you have to...
And you can only do 1 upgrade per turn.
Right. Or you can choose to spend 4 money and ignore the auditor, or you can spend 8 money to open up the an additional racetrack or testing track. You have one at the start of the game. All right, so that's the money. Okay, and then that's the end of my turn. Now, Randy then gets to draw a dice.
Yeah, so I'm going to draw one of these wild ones over here because you can make it any of the actions except for the speedometer action. So this lets me make it a car, a production, or a sales one, yes.
Or engineering.
Or engineering. So I'm going to go ahead and use this.
For testing. For testing.
Oh, I am going to use it for testing? Apparently I'm using it for testing because I don't get free will in this game.
Nope.
So I'm using that, and I get to move, again, 1 space at the beginning of the game unless you've unlocked.
So first, again, he would end up taking his research. Okay. Then he's going to take the die action.
Right, which is to move on the car. So,
but what if you wanted to upgrade first?
Well, if I upgrade, I'm going to end up spending 5 money because if I was at level 1 and I'm going to fill in the dot, I don't get to use the die. It just sits there, so I don't get to move. But then I get to take it and place it on one of these still. I still get to trigger the space that I play it on. So I could... theoretically upgrade the car, then play on the car and move 2 spaces instead of 1 on the car track. And whatever I cross as I move along the track, I get to take advantage of. So in this case, if I started out the very beginning on the very far left track, I would get to unlock crate A, which happens to be on the production chart. And it's one of the things you need in order to open the perks of the bonus in the different stop sign looking shapes, the octagons as you go around.
Okay. So then that's his turn. So I'm going to take this one. I'm going to get a TPS report. I'm going to fill it in. Okay, then I am going to end up using this as a production. So production is basically a map of the facility, and you are trying to get to different locations within the factory and upgrade them. Now, not only do you have to get there, right? So that's the production. You're filling in the boxes, but when you get to the octagon space, you can highlight the outside of it, even if you don't have the inside, but it tells you that you've been there, and as soon as you get those things, it will immediately unlock. But when you go there, there's a couple of things. There's crates that are needed, both A through E. You'll get them throughout either the testing or engineering tracks, and then you need a bunch of TPS reports, and you get those through the board here, a little bit on the racing track, a little bit of other places, but I ended up having it the most of mine from the board for the dice bonuses. And then some you need an upgrade. Some of them you need different items. So, and the wheels, like when you finish your testing. So that kind of thing. And then that will unlock either permanent victory point income, or it will open up end of game victory points based on what you've accomplished. So that's production. So again, I would take that from here, and then I would place this somewhere else. We'll do production again. I would have done that again. And then Randy will take another die.
I've only got a choice of sales, so I would take one. This one lets me move my car an additional space, so I'd do that and get whatever perk I got. And then I would take this, and I get to generate money based upon however much I've got as far as the number of dots. If I started the game again, it'd be with 1, and if this was in game, I had 3 unlocked. But then I would move up the money, and that's how I would unlock, again, all those perks as far as upgrades, and you can also use it to get rid of the auditor, which is a pain. So I get the perks along that track, and then I get to place it just like all the other ones on one of these actions. So the basic gameplay is not hard in this.
Well, so there's one die left. Both of us we don't get the perk of the board. We just get the die, and we don't get to place the die.
Yeah.
So we would both get a sell action.
Yeah.
The biggest thing for this game it's managing the bouncing and back and forth.
Yeah, and keeping it in sequence, because you have to do the bonus first, then the action on the die, then the placement. And when you get your head going around thinking, oh, I can trigger this and this, sometimes you can get yourself out of sequence. That's where it gets a little confusing.
Yeah, that's where I did a couple things. I outlined the box that I was going to use, and then when I used it, then I was X'd it out.
Mm-hmm.
So I can kind of keep up of where I'm going and what I'm doing, because you do a lot of bouncing.
Yep.
And so it makes it very, very difficult. Well, wait, where am I? And so I did not exit until I knew I had used it.
Okay. The final thing at the end of the round is whoever's rolling for the round has to roll the odd die. And whatever you roll, there's a re-roll on here, which I didn't really understand why they put that on there, but
they made something to fill that side.
All right, so in this case, it's a production. So that means we have to put the coffee mug for the next round on our production, and we cannot place a die on that space next round.
Now, you can use, if your die facing has production on it, you can use it.
Yeah.
But you just can't place to use the production action on the board. So just kind of keep that in mind. I really liked this one.
Mm-hmm.
I did. I really liked it. I liked the bouncing back and forth. I liked it a lot. I don't know if I like it as much as Three Sisters. I don't know. This one's a hard one.
The theme is more appealing to me than Three Sisters.
Mm.
The only thing I had a problem with was having the bonus where it says the max we not being able to obtain it. That was frustrating, because that to me was a design flaw. Now, whether it's something that was intentionally left that way so that they can expand and then you could reach that, I don't know. But, I was targeting certain bonuses, and I'm like, well, I can't even reach the achievable score with them after we looked at the board and saw there wasn't places to go that could do that. So it was just very frustrating, because I scored a lot less points than I probably should have that first game. The second game, it was my own fault. I knew it was there. I ended up not getting a lot of the bonus points because I couldn't reach places with the production track that time. So, it's all...
I literally reached everywhere in the production track.
Yeah, well, you had a much more power. So we played with the expansions, the second game. So the expansions, we mentioned the Bob Report. What it does is, instead of just wasting the red die after you roll it, you place it on the icon that matches on the expansion board, and that triggers 2 potential bonuses that you can achieve during the round. You can only unlock one of them, though. You get a key.
And only once.
Yes.
You can only use it once.
So you have to spin the key for that round whenever you trigger it, and you get that perk. But it's kind of cool that it gives you 2 options to trigger. And then the other expansion is the certificate expansion. Now, this one I found to be disappointing. First of all,
why?
Well, there's variable player powers for it, but it's a 5-player game. They give you 4 of them.
Oh, so you can only play it with 4.
No, you can play it with 5, but the 5th player has to do the one that's on the sheet. So,
well, that's disappointing.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. There should have been at least 5, if not more, of these to choose from.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's kind of...
And, the other thing is, I'm not sure these are fully balanced. We haven't played it enough to know. But
I'll be honest,
yours seemed super powerful.
Mine was but I went straight after it.
Well, yeah,
so because it was that powerful.
Yeah,
I knew it was going to be. So, but with more people in, there might be more competition. I don't know.
It's another one of those things. Anytime you have variable player powers, you have to test everything to see if it balances perfectly.
So
I don't know.
We don't know about this. We don't know about that one.
Too early to tell on whether this is really balanced or not. All I know is you almost doubled my score.
Not quite.
67 to 100 and something.
8.
Yeah, pretty bad beginning.
I mean, I was okay with it. All right. But talking about just the base game, though, I really liked it. I even liked this. This was fine. You are right. I did think my power may have been.
Yeah, it said it's it might have been.
Yeah, it might. But then again, you had an extra engineer, which could have got you a lot more scoring points if you had decided to actually go up those tracks.
I did try to go up those tracks. I just didn't do it well.
Track but didn't succeed.
Yeah.
So with that being said, it's don't know. Overall, giving it a score, I really liked it.
Yeah.
I did. I'll give it an 8.5.
That's about where I am too. I think
I liked it.
I can't remember if I gave a 9 to Three Sisters. This is one of my favorite of the roll and writes. I like the complex one, so this one is meaty. So if you're a fan of Three Sisters and Fleet, you won't be disappointed in this. The theme is more appealing to me. It's all your taste may vary in that case. I'm not a farmer and I'm not a fisherman. I work in companies and I'm an engineer.
We haven't played that one in a while.
Yeah. So this one was more of an appealing theme to me. So, but it's all in all of your personal tastes between which one. But they're all great.
Yeah, they're all great. Well, my thing is this is a little much too close to my actual job. I'm like, auditors, I see them all the time. No. That's what you get for being quality editor. Anyway, yeah. So fun stuff. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We had an absolute blast. Hopefully you'll come hang out with us again. We'll catch you guys later.
Bye.